No, it's not. Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good evening. It is 6:03, and we have decided to have the 2024 School Board Candidates Forum this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. You could check out the YouTube feed. It is on YouTube as well as on the air on Tree Country 1330 WTRE. In studio, we have Elizabeth Lecker-Haltstetter. Close. David Henderson, Nicholas Anderson, Amber Smith, Dustin Barkdahl, and Allison Ortman. So all of these people in studio this evening are running for school boards, and they will be able to speak for 2 minutes and tell us about their families, their backgrounds, educations, careers, and why they are running for school board. Okay? Of course. We're going to start with David Henderson.
All right, so 2 minutes to tell you about myself. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
My name's Dave Henderson. I'm from Greensburg, well, I guess Geneva, Flat Rock area. I grew up with a foot in Decatur and Shelby counties. I went to Waldron, graduated in 1999. I have a bachelor's degree in law enforcement, a minor in sociology from the University of Indianapolis. Married. My wife Kim is from Zionsville. She's been down here. We've been married since 2010, so about 14 years or so. I have one daughter, Emma. She's 11. She's in 6th grade. She goes to North Decatur Elementary. She's in Mrs. Walpe's class. I currently work for the Decatur County Technology Office for Decatur County. Been in the IT industry for a while. Before that, I was in law enforcement full-time for 10 years. Worked for the Decatur County Sheriff's Office. I still reserve with the Decatur County Sheriff's Office. So yeah, I'm not going to use all my time, but that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay, do you want to express why you're running for the school board?
I like to be active. I like to be active in the community. Prior to, working for the county, I was on the town board in the town of St. Paul. Was up there for a couple terms, and I've always liked being active, doing the work, being involved, helping make decisions. And so, since I work for the county, I can't really run for like a county position. So, the best next natural fit would be school board, and we're active. I have a daughter in school. My wife participates in PTO and some of that other stuff. She's in archery as well, so we're involved. We're around, and very much like to run for school board and see if I can't help make some of those decisions.
Okay, thank you. You want to? Okay, next up, we will go to Dustin Barkdahl. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, education, career, why you're running for school board?
My name is Dustin Barkdahl. I'm married to Lauren Myrick Barkdahl, and we have 2 children. We reside in Millhausen, Indiana. My son Dex is currently 5, and my daughter Monroe is 2. I am a certified probation officer with Decatur County Court Services. I previously worked for the Decatur County Sheriff's Department as a jail officer and court security. My kids are getting close to school age. My son Dex will start kindergarten at South next fall. I have been actively involved with Decatur County School Corporation my entire life. I attended South Decatur from K through 6, graduated in 2006. I coached youth football and junior high football as a lay coach in 2008 and 2009 at South Decatur. I then coached junior high, JV, and varsity football at North Decatur from 2014 to 2020. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus Council 1042, St. Mary's Catholic Church in the Greensburg Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 104. And I would like to, since having kids running for school board, I would like to stay actively involved in decision making.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to go to Nicholas Anderson.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Nick Anderson. I'd like to start off by thanking WTRE for hosting this event and giving us this opportunity. I personally was fortunate enough to grow up in Decatur County. I grew up in Letts and Westport area. lifelong. I attended Decatur County Schools. I was fortunate enough I graduated from South Decatur, and I was fortunate enough to marry my high school sweetheart, Mindy. We have 2 children. Grayson, who is currently attending South Decatur, he's in Seeger's class, and our newborn Whitley, who will eventually one day attend South Decatur as well. So growing up going through the school system and having children, being there as a parent as well, has given me a great perspective on the many great things that this county is providing and maybe the things that we could do a little bit better on. And so I want to do my part to kind of help with that. I've spent 17 years in the mining industry, gaining skills in teamwork, problem solving, and leadership. I've also done financial coaching for about 3 years now, which will also serve me well. I look forward to serving the great county to help do my part to give our children a brighter future, and so I'm running for District C to do that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to Amber Smith. If you want to tell us about family, career, education, why you're running for school board.
Okay. My name is Amber Smith. I reside here in Decatur County on the south end of the county. I am running for District C. I'm a wife, mother, and a nurse. I have 4 children. Our oldest is 24 and is a graduate of South Decatur High School. Our other 3 are enrolled in South Decatur school system. Our next oldest is in the high school, and then my younger 2 are still in elementary school. We are very busy with them. They're very involved in sports and everything. I work as a nurse and have a bachelor's degree in that. I work for the Indiana Poison Center, and I also PRN over at Schneck in labor and delivery. I have had the opportunity to be able to volunteer through the schools through the years that we have been here, and been able to see the inside and outside functioning of the school system, and just want to be a voice for the teachers, the staff, and the community to be able to make this school system an even better school system than it already is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we're going to go to Allison Ortman. Yes, Allison Ortman, if you want to tell us about your family, your education career, and why you want to run for school board.
Well, I as well wanted to thank you for having this forum today. It's really exciting to be here. My name is Allison Ortman. I am currently running for District D for the Decatur County Community School Board. I have lived in Decatur County for almost 18 years now after I married my husband, Jed. And we live on a full working farm down in southern part of Decatur County. We have 4 children, 2 daughters that go to South Decatur Junior Senior High, and 2 sons that go to the elementary. Our oldest daughter, her birthday is tomorrow, and she'll be 16, so I wanted to give her a shout out. Happy early birthday. And then, so she's a sophomore. I've got a daughter that is an 8th grader, a son that is in 5th grade, and another son that is in 3rd grade. Our kids, as well as Amber's, are active in lots of sports, academics, band, choir, kind of seeing lots of different opportunities at the school that are positives, but also some things that could use improvement. Now, I'm active in my church. We go to Immaculate Conception in Millhausen. And then I grew up in Bartholomew County. So I was born and raised. Grew up in a large family. I have 5 sisters, 2 brothers. I'm an identical twin, and I'm a 2002 Columbus East graduate. I have worked in healthcare my whole career. Been in the same healthcare system since 2001. Worked kind of my way up that career healthcare ladder from CNA, LPN, RN. I got my bachelor's degree, and then I have my master's degree right now, and I am currently certified as a family nurse practitioner.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, certainly, Elizabeth Lecker Hossetter.
Yep, I know it's difficult.
getting
We'll
it.
get there. You're good. You're good. Hello, everyone. I grew up in Decatur County. I'm a lifelong Decatur County resident, a graduate of North Decatur High School. My husband and I have chosen Decatur County to raise our kids as well. He moved here from the Knightstown area. So Lucas is an 8th grade science teacher at North Decatur. My mom is the guidance director, and Lucas coaches at North Decatur as well. So our lives kind of revolve around the schools and activities and what have you. Lucas and I have 2 children. Elise, she's 3, and Jack just turned 1. So Elise will be school age here before we know it. And so this was a prime opportunity for me to get active and involved with the school board in order to see some of those changes, hopefully implemented before Elise reaches school age. After North Decatur, I went on to Purdue. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in agricultural economics with a concentration in commodity marketing. I was a commodity merchandiser, which is basically a grain buyer. I was traded stocks in the Chicago Board of Trade for 3 years for ADM before going back to law school. I now am a deputy prosecutor here. I was very fortunate after internship opportunities to be able to move into a full-time position here where I mainly focus on our juvenile cases, and then I maintain a felony caseload as well. I am very active and involved in the community. I'm on the Decatur County Queen Committee, Optimist Club member. We are involved and members of St. Mary's Parish here in Greensburg. I'm on the YMCA Board of Directors. Most recently, I just joined the Decatur County Community Foundation Women and Girls Committee. I'm a past 4-H Extension Board member, a mentor for Generation Hope, in which I go to the high schools. I have 3 girls that I meet with on a weekly basis. I'm on the Youth Program Committee for All for One Ministries and a prior branch committee member. So that's a little bit about me. I hope to get to explain and a little bit more about me with these questions here in a moment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so each question will be 2 minutes, and we flipped a coin for each district, correct? And David Henderson from District B is going to go first with the questions, correctly? Right? Am I right on that?
First question, right, is what we were
Yes,
gonna do?
the first
All right.
question. I want to make sure that I had the flip of the coin correct.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. First question. You have 2 minutes.
All right.
Why are you running for school board?
Why am I running for school board? So I think we're doing a lot of great things, especially at North, and we're doing a lot of good things down at South. I really like being involved. The school board, our budget with the school board is huge as compared to like the county. It's almost twice what the county is. So the school board kind of affects a couple of the things that we really hold the most precious in our lives, right? Our number one, our kids, and number 2, our property. So when the school board makes its decisions, it directly affects our children, and it could potentially affect our taxes on our property. And I know there's a lot of farmers out there that care about both of those things dearly. They have kids and they also have property. Really like being active in the community, and also I really like listening to the public. If elected, it's not always about necessarily what I would want. It's more about what the public wants. And as a representative of the public and what they're telling me they want for our school board, for our kids, for the school corporation, that's very valuable. And I'm very approachable. I think everybody in the county pretty much has my phone number, or it seems that way anyway. So I'm out a lot, out with the wife and daughter. We're out at a lot of events, Power of the Past, other different community events. I've been out helping TRE before with different events, so I'm always out and about. I'm always approachable, and I'd like to continue the things that we're doing well, and some of the stuff that maybe we're not, we can improve those. I don't know where I'm at on time yet, but it looks like I'm getting close because my computer shut down. No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you, David. So Elizabeth, it's the same question. Why are you running for school board?
I'm running for school board for a some various reasons, but first and foremost, it seemed like an opportune time for me to get active and involved and be a part of change that will help impact then my children's education in the future, along with providing and retain, teacher retention, with my husband being a teacher and everything that we are providing to our educators in our building. That's a key component with our ability to provide the opportune educational foundation, situation, environment for our students that we're producing here out of our school system in Decatur County. Obviously, the education that we can provide our students is first and foremost key, and being sure that we are honing on all of those resources that we have available to us, we're utilizing them adequately, appropriately, whether that be from a financial standpoint, or community involvement, community awareness. There's a variety of key components that go into that. I don't have an axe to grind or any specific, agenda on my list as far as why I wanted to run for school board. I can tell you that I'm in this for the long haul. I'm in it for creating an outstanding educational environment for our students to help them to succeed to that next step of their future. That is first and foremost, it has to be our main goal. Without providing that educational environment for our students, what type of individual are we sending into our communities to, that goes into community economic development. I mean, there's a variety of things that we are providing students to the companies, other restaurants, other factories, what have you, in our community, and we need to be sure that we're providing the best product that we can as far as a student for those companies in order to help retain great talent in our community.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are moving forward to District C, and speaking first for District C was Amber Smith, and it is the same question. Why are you running for school board?
So I decided to run for school board this year because last year I got the opportunity to be more involved in the school system, not only with volunteering with the PTO, with my kids getting more involved in sports and extracurriculars, but I was also able to fill in for the school nurse down at South Decatur Elementary, and to just see the process of the everyday system that goes on through there and the struggles that they have at some points. I want to be able to help with the students and the community to be able to increase, like Elizabeth said, like our retention here in town, and to be able to make sure that we're putting out the best students that we can for the community. I mean, they are our future, and I want my kids to be able to have all those opportunities. So to be a voice in there for them is why I want to be there and to run for this position.
Thank you. Okay, next from District C, same question, Nicholas Anderson. Why are you running for school board?
Well, for me, it's pretty simple. I have many friends, family, and loved ones throughout the county. Having children, going through the schools currently, I'm just a concerned parent that instead of sitting on the sidelines and hoping that the right decisions might get made for our children, I want to do my part to try to ensure that they do, right? So some of those things. So I also volunteered through PTO. I have, my son has done school sports. I've volunteered in other activities as well. And getting to kind of know and interact with these children and just, it kind of, makes you want to fight for them that they'll have the best chance in the future. And so, again, with some of the decisions are made, some are great, some could be worked on, and I want to focus on the things we're doing great and then enhance the areas that we could do a little bit better. And so just maintaining, like they said before, student retention, but also maximizing our budget so that we can have better opportunities in the future for our kids to be able to grow and learn. And so I'm running to as a concerned parent that just wants to do their part to make sure that Decatur County Schools is the best it can be. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've heard from District B and C, so now we're going to go to District D, and who won the coin toss for that? That would be.
They win the $20 coin toss.
So Allison
It's
Ortman.
chosen.
So Allison Ortman will go first on our first question of why are you running for school board?
I'm running for school board because I have 4 children. And with listening to my career path, I've definitely been in school a long time. And academics is extremely important to me. I think that is definitely the foundation for our kids. If they can't have that strong foundation, then where will we be? There are lots of different laws that have been passed over the years as far as No Child Left Behind and other ones. Lots of things are going on in our school system. Working in healthcare, being in with the public all of the time, there are lots of things that we could do to improve. I've been very happy with the Decatur County school system. Nothing, like Elizabeth said, I don't have a battle to fight with that being unhappy. But I think there's always things that could be implemented, changes that could occur. In supporting the positive things that have gone on, but also looking at the budget, seeing where we can modify some things to bring in more resources for the children. There are lots of kids that are struggling in different ways, and so looking at that situational is extremely important, and so my heart is for the kids. Having 4 kids myself and being in the heart right now of where it's going to be with school, I've put 10 years in and I still got probably another 10, so I'm here for a long time. I'm very dedicated, I'm accountable. I'm going to show up, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be loud and happy to support the families and listen, and I'm approachable as well, so I have an open ear.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and that leaves Dustin Barkdahl. Why are you running for school board? So
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
The main reason is about I have 2 children, 5 and 2. Dex will start school in the fall. I've been involved my entire life with Decatur County. I'd like to continue staying involved. Education is a key component to success. I obtained my bachelor's degree 17 years after originally starting Indiana State. And just as a prospective parent, I'd like to stay involved with the community. I mean, we do community events, whether it's going to a walk in her shoes, the Decatur County Fair Pie Eating Contest, the FOP Dunk Tank, Donkey Basketball. I participated in Guns N' Hoses 3 for a charity. I just like to be involved. I like to help. And when I was coaching, I got out of coaching in 2020 because I started to have kids of my own, and I was spending more time with other kids than I was my own child. And this is a way to get back in the school corporation and being involved. And that's why I'm running for District D.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, what? With B or C? Okay. All right, so question 2. We're going to start with District C on question 2. Teacher retention rate has been a common topic among our listeners. What can you do to increase salaries or incentives that can be offered to increase teacher retention? Additionally, how can certified teachers be reinstated for PE, music, band, and choir, specifically for K through 6? Do you want to start, Amber?
Sure. So teacher retention, looking at it from being on the inside of the school, when I got to 1 volunteer and 2 sub in for the school nurse when she was on maternity leave last year, our teachers work hard. They are very hard workers, and I never realized exactly what the day-to-day school system and hard work that they put into it. So I can see where teachers are getting frustrated and not wanting to stay in the school systems for those kind of reasons. So teacher retention, looking at the budget, I don't know a ton about the school budget at this point. Like I said, I'm very new to politics, so trying to learn and educate myself on those things. But being able to be part of the school board and to be able to look at the budget to see if there's things that maybe we have been putting our money towards that we could maybe put more towards the teachers, and to help them out in different ways, not only maybe helping with their salaries, but maybe giving them the resources that they need to make their everyday lives in the classroom better for them, so that they can be able to have an easier day every day than one big significant thing that we throw at them. So my perspective is looking at every day what we can do to help those teachers in that sense.
Thank you. Okay, so Nicholas Anderson, it's the same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
Could you please?
Okay. Teacher retention rate has been a common topic among our listeners. What can you do to increase salaries or incentives that can be offered to increase teacher retention? Additionally, how can certified teachers be reinstated for PE, music, band, and choir, specifically for K through 6?
Great question. I appreciate you guys asking. Obviously, teacher retention, whether it be assistants or just the teachers in general, is very important. Kids, they need to be able to know that they can trust that the people that taught them are going to be around to help providing a great education, and give them that whenever they can see them in the schools throughout all these years, and get that kudos whenever they finally graduated from the great job that the teacher did before them. And so obviously looking at the budget is key, just like Amber said. I'm sure that teachers are honestly probably underpaid. In my opinion, if they're the ones guiding our students, they need to be paid accordingly to be able to give the right effort to make sure that our kids have the best chance. So definitely looking at the budget, what can we do to be able to enhance that? Along with that, maybe providing, so we have some great resources within the county of just that maybe we could use for added training that the teachers could possibly get, some volunteer. I'm sure that there are some people within the county that have the skills that our teachers could use, that could help them in implementing a better day, and make it better for our children, whether it be mental health or various other ways. And so that's, to me, honestly, it should definitely be a priority. Is if they're going to do a great job, they need to be paid for it. And so I'm willing to look at the budget and find a way to do that if there's a chance to do so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to District D. Allison, you'll be going first. It's the same question. Would you like for me to... Oh, sorry. See, the camera's not on me, so they didn't notice that. Okay. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
It is a complex question. It's
kind of a
two-parter. Yeah. Teacher retention rate has been a common topic among our listeners. What can you do to increase salaries or incentives that can be offered to increase teacher retention? Additionally, how can certified teachers be reinstated for PE, music, band, and choir, specifically for K through 6?
So, being new to potentially the school board, I'm not sure what all the ins and outs would have to do with reinstating a teacher for those special positions like PE, choir. So that would have to be something that I would have to look into, because I'm really unsure about that. But as far as teacher retention, I have seen that firsthand, coming from the southern end of the county. We have lost a lot of teachers over the last few years, so that is definitely a struggle. Pulling in different substitutes has been hard on not only my kids, but their grades too. Everyone's going to teach a little bit differently. So looking at why, what is the why behind why are the teachers quitting? That's a huge, do we put out any kind of surveys for them? Do we look at their mental health? I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I think that plays a huge role. A lot of teacher burnout. What resources do we have for them? How are we supporting them? How are we lightening their load? Because you work with the public, you work with the kids, you're overwhelmed, you're tired, you have a family yourself. So trying to help them. Do they have any resources as far as coaching for their mental health or for life skills, those types of things? But I definitely know that teachers are underpaid. I think we can all agree on that. And what that looks like for our budget, sitting down and kind of looking at the numbers and crunching them and seeing what is appropriate, what is fair. As we all know, prices on everything are rising. And
for K through 6.
Okay, the first part of the question about, can I see the piece of paper?
It's right here.
Teacher retention. My wife is a prior 4th, 3rd, and K teacher. So being married to a teacher, I understand the daily struggle. You want to be there for your students. You need to be there for your students. You need to be prepared in the classroom, but you also have a home life. I think she would go in at like 5 o'clock to make copies to prepare for the day. She would get home at 5 o'clock, and then she would sit on her computer from about 6 to 8 getting her lesson plans finalized because something you got behind today or you got too far ahead. So I understand the struggle of what Allison kind of said with the teacher, maybe teacher burnout. You got to find ways to incentivize these teachers. I've never been on the school board. I don't know what the rules are, what the guidelines are to the budget until you actually sit down with a member of the school board or the superintendent to see what you can and can't do. As far as the certifications, I believe that's a budget issue. Bringing a certified teacher in to teach PE, I mean, it's a different kind of contract to my understanding, but I don't know that's like a 50-50. I don't know the logistics of the contracts because I'm not actively on the school board, but I mean, when you're hiring these teachers, most of them are fresh out of college, 21, 22, and then they begin to start their family. Maybe childcare is an obstacle for some of these teachers. South has had preschool for 2 or 3 years, I believe, and North starts preschool this spring. Maybe daycare is something that we need to look into.
Thank you. And just a disclaimer, and I'm not sure because I'm filling in. Some of these questions were submitted by listeners. So if they feel challenging, that may be part of it is, but thank you for answering to the best of your abilities. So I wasn't sure if we had that disclaimer out before we started, and I apologize, that's my fault. So District B, we're going to start with Elizabeth. It's the same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to first address the K through 6 certified teachers from the PE, music, bands, standpoint. I do think that that's a direct result of budgeting and our capability to pay certified teachers in those positions. Whereas the current setup, like Dustin had mentioned with their contracts, I've not seen one specifically, so I'm not saying that, raising my right hand and saying that this is exactly what's happening, but my general understanding is that the pay rate for those teachers per hour is less than a certified teacher. So I think that is a direct result of the budget and financing, which goes hand in hand with moving back to the first part of the question of teacher retention. Back in, I'm trying to find here, 20 years ago-ish, there was a feasibility study. And so the school's budget is based off of per student enrollment in the building. And of course, there's other factors that go involved with that. But 20 years ago, it was not projected that our county schools enrollment was going to increase. So our capability of increasing teacher pay, helping with those resources in the classroom in order to maintain teacher retention and retain those qualified educators that we have, this should not have been a surprise up to this point. So I really think that all needs to be revisited. We need to take a look at that, take a look at where our resources are being allocated. You know, central office salaries, well, lots of public salaries, as we all know, that's public information. You can go and look it up. If you've not had a chance to look into some of that, I would highly recommend that you do if you're listening from home. I think you would be shocked to see what some of our educators are being paid at central office in comparison to other school corporations our size, and in relation to the entire state of Indiana. So I really think that that's where we need to focus, of looking at that budget. Of course, I've not been on the school board, so this is going to be a learning opportunity for me to see what it entails, but I think that's where we need to start.
Okay, thank you. And David Henderson, question 2. Do you need me to repeat it?
I think I'm good.
You think you're good?
When I guess I don't exactly know about the reinstating the PE teachers and whatnot. It sounds as though that is a question of contract negotiation and whatnot. So as a member, or potentially if elected as a school board member, that would be something that we would want to revisit and see what the budget could bear and what is there. And also if there's a consensus among the other board members that would also be elected, to see where they're at on that. When it comes to retention is so incredibly important. The institutional knowledge that comes with teachers that have been there for a while, and the understanding that they have of the kids that they're teaching, and some of those kids' strengths as they progress through the grades, and some of the kids that have challenges as they progress through the grades. You know, the teachers, if we retain them, they know they've been there and they're in a better position to serve those kids. When it comes to salaries, I guess it would be my position to advocate for the best salaries that we can, but we also have to balance out with what the tax base could bear. And as one member of the school board, you're only one of 7, so you can advocate, but you also have to build a consensus across the board to get those salaries up. And also when it comes to retention, we would need to find out why people are leaving. That's important to see if we can fix those problems, because you might be able to solve some of your retention problems with why individuals are leaving, and solve some of those issues. It could be salaries, it could be problems in the building, but I would very much like to. Sorry, I was looking at the timer there. See if we can figure out why they are leaving, and it would be nice to, have a school system where maybe we could attract some of that talent that's out there, and maybe make them want to come to Decatur County Community Schools instead of leave.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question 3. We're going to start with District D. So Allison, you will be going first. Do you feel that current instruction time is being utilized appropriately? Is there something that you are aware of that you would change?
So as a mother, I have definitely been in the building with my children, just for the elementary school kids. Instructional time has always been utilized very well when I have been there. My children, I talk with them every day as well, and kind of talk about what the things that they're doing, looking at their folders, seeing the opportunities that they've had. I feel like it's being utilized well. Within South Decatur for sure, because I've been firsthand to see that. Now, in the high school, I feel like there are some opportunities for improvement, because, again, I get to hear things firsthand, what's going on, not super unhappy, but I think there's always things we could improve with the way that we're teaching different classes. Could be implemented different. Instead of showing videos all day long, we could do other things. And so I think there is a bit of improvement in some areas that we need to do. Now, what that looks like as far as being on the school board, I'm not here to micromanage people. As a teacher, you are able to have your lesson plans completed. I know for a little bit, or I know that they have some portions that they have to show, but I don't think we see day to day exactly what they're going to be doing. So I think that would be hard to really evaluate what's going on in the classroom if you're not there to see. So does that mean we make trips in and see what's going on? If we have a complaint, we could potentially do that as well.
Thank you. Dustin, question 3, would you like for me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you feel that the current instruction time is being utilized appropriately? And is there something that you are aware of that you would change?
The instructional time, without being in the classroom, I don't think I could give you a clear and decisive answer. When I went to school, we had the same. When I was in high school, we had 50-minute class sections with at South Decatur. It was called Paul's. It was like a 20-minute like pre-study hall kind of thing before lunch. And now I think they do like block scheduling. They do like they alternate. So, do I know what they're doing during that instructional time? No, I'm not a parent. I'm just a potential candidate for school board. Maybe, if elected, maybe take what Allison says, and if there's concerns in your district that people are reaching out to you, maybe you go sit in the classroom. If that's allowed. I mean, I'm not on the school board yet. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've been to a couple meetings. I understand kind of the logistics of it, but to sit here and say I know everything, that would be a lie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to District B. Elizabeth, you would go first for question 3. Would you like for me to repeat it?
No, I think I understand the question. Again, I'm not in the building every day to know specifically what's happening, and I think that's really where a school board has to rely on the administrators in their building. The administrators are responsible for going and evaluating their teachers. I believe it's at least twice a year, at least at the high school level. I know the principal and assistant principal both take turns as far as one will evaluate in the fall semester and one in the spring semester, and it may even be more than that, but they each get a turn in the classroom at least once. And I just am getting that from my husband. He'll come home and say, oh, yep, I was evaluated today. So I do know, at least at North High, that's happening. Of course, I can't speak to every building for that, but I would assume and have no reason to doubt that that's happening in all of the buildings. And so I think that from this perspective, we would have to just really rely on our administrators to be controlling and policing that in their buildings. If something is brought to their attention, I hope that they address it and they don't just push something aside. You know, if it's something that there's too much time being taken for a certain task of some sort, or if they're not, quite getting in and getting with their lessons or something right away, if there's too much just kind of busy work outside, that's where I think we would have to rely on someone that's in the building every day to be able to address those issues. That's what they have been hired for. That's what we need to trust them to do in that position. Of course, if there are issues that are brought to the school board's attention, then outside of that, that's something that I think the board and superintendent can address with the administrator of that specific building.
Okay, thank you. Question 3 for David Henderson. Do you need me to repeat it? Okay. So question 3 is, do you feel that the current instruction time is being utilized appropriately? Is there something that you are aware of that you would change?
And I'm not in the high school. I don't have a high school or anything like that. So I haven't been in the building to sit and watch any of the instructional time. So I can't speak to that. However, it would be up to the administrators in that building to relay that up to the central office or the superintendent. I do know that in the elementary, I haven't sat through any of Emma's instructional time, but I do know that some of the specials maybe occur over in other buildings, and I don't want to get too deep into that for security reasons, but it would be nice if some of that stuff stayed in the building so that those kids weren't maybe necessarily in transit so long, so that because that time their time in transit takes away from, say, the time in specials or the time that they would otherwise be receiving some instructional stuff. But that would be nice to keep some of that stuff in the building. And I believe that there's probably some classes that I'm aware of that they have to go back and forth between the two different buildings, either the north end or the south end. It would be very nice to see if there would be a way to get some of that stuff to be able to stay in the student's home building, if you will, so that they wouldn't have to spend that time in transit and could maybe leverage that time a little better for instructional time. But again, not sitting in the building, I can't point my finger at a specific thing and say, hey, this is I have a giant complaint. But if we could keep things in the buildings as much as possible so they could spend more time in the classroom and less time in transit would be better.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are moving on to question 4. Oh, no, I forgot you guys. I'm so
I
sorry.
thought you were just moving on. I was like, darn it, I actually.
No, it's a good thing Sandy's standing right here. She keeps me in line. Okay, so question 3, we'll start with Amber Smith. I'm so sorry. Do you feel the current instruction time is being utilized appropriately? Is there something that you are aware of that you would change?
So being able to be in the classroom, actually, when I have been in there, I do think our time is utilized very well from just what I've seen from South's perspective. Like I said, I've not been in all the school systems to be able to judge that. But one thing that I really do appreciate that they are pushing for more are the STEM classes and the extracurriculars in that sense for the kids. Having one child who is not very sports motivated, he is very much classroom and STEM motivated. So having those opportunities for him to be able to focus on things that he wants to learn versus just focusing on sports and those kind of things at this academic level. I've been very appreciative of that he's had those opportunities. And they get to choose at the stage that he's in. He's gotten to choose different activities. He's doing music and things, so that's something that my oldest didn't have that opportunity, so that's something that I've seen as a change in the school system. Something else that they've implemented this year in the high school, having a child in the high school, is the no cell phone policy. I think that has been a great thing for the schools and for the teachers alone, that they don't have that distraction that they have to worry about in the classroom, and they don't have to worry about that now as much, and they can focus on educating these kids and making sure that these kids are paying attention and actually retaining the information that they're teaching them, rather than these kids listening to their cell phones or having an ear pod in their ear that they're not actually focusing on their education. So I think that is a big change that happened this year that I have pushed very hard for and was happy about.
Okay. So moving on to Nick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, moving on to Nick. Question 3, did you need me to repeat it?
I believe I'm all right on that.
Okay.
So again, kind of just like everybody else said, it's very difficult when you're not in the school. And so having not been in the school other than whenever I'm there, with my son through the elementary, just kind of, visiting or volunteering, there's no way to really know how it's being done. And luckily we have some great administrators, in my opinion, and so maybe they aren't getting, maybe it's not brought to their attention that this is an issue, and so maybe it's something as simple as some feedback from parents being sent in that hey, maybe you guys just put a little bit of fine-tooth comb on a certain area that maybe we could help out and it would enhance the learning experience. And so it could be as simple as that. So just kind of listening to the parents, encouraging them to give feedback to the school board, to the schools themselves, our administrators, and I am certain that that if they are aware of the problem, they would do everything they could to address that, I would assume. I would like to say that Amber actually brought up some fantastic points. My son has been fortunate enough to be able to do some of the programs as well that they've implemented with the STEM and other things, and he loves it. You know what I mean? It's a great. They're doing some great things, and I think we're moving in the right direction. And with just a little bit of maybe extra attention, it can be even better. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you. So that takes us to question 4. And we go back to the top of the list, correct? Am I on the same page as everybody else, or am I off in La La Land like normal? So this is why they don't let me out of the cage. So question 4, we'll start with Elizabeth. There has been controversy over what books are considered appropriate for the school libraries. What is your opinion on what is inappropriate? What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
So I do know that we have a director of learning, I believe that's the title, at central office. And as far as someone that's really in charge of helping monitor and take a look at making sure that, one, we are meeting all of the requirements that we need to by the state. I know that we're talking from a library standpoint right now, but as far as that content that needs to be made available in our schools, yes, I do think it's important that it is age-appropriate information. As far as how we, our librarian and or assistants in the buildings and how we go about that information of determining that, I don't think that's one can be determined by one person, because each student is different. Every parent is going to know that. And I mean, I don't have children that are school age yet, but even 3-year-olds, every 3-year-old is different with their maturity of what content they're going to be able to handle and what's appropriate in the building. And so I really think that using your entire school board and your superintendent and those educators at the central office level to determine what is that type of information that we're going to be that needs to be made available. I don't know that you can put a hard line on that, but it may be separating information out into different sections, and being sure that a parent is aware of what resources that are going to be made available to their student, and if they don't want that information made available to them, there's a whole transparency and a communication that I think needs improvement between the educators in the building in order to maintain our high educational excellence of the goals and values of what they're trying to teach in a classroom, but then pairing that and meshing it and aligning it with the parent of what their expectation is for their child. And so I don't have a prime answer on the way that we go about that, but I do think that is a goal and a focus that needs to be made.
Okay. Thank you. David Henderson is next on question 4. Would you like for me to repeat it? Okay, so question 4. There has been controversy over what books are considered appropriate for the school libraries. What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
See, I don't know that there's an easy definition for what's appropriate and what's not necessarily. I know that the recent controversy had to do with some books that were in an AP course. And I think it's really important you have to consider when the reading list or the materials list for some of the AP courses are considered that there's an accreditation that comes with each one of those AP courses, and it has to meet a certain academic level for it to be eligible for college credit. However, we do have a director of learning, as Elizabeth had said, there at the central office. And I think on some of this stuff, when the teachers run across things that might have the potential to be controversial, or maybe they have a question, it wouldn't hurt to maybe take a partner with that director of learning and say, hey, this might be something, or what do you think of this? Do you think this is appropriate? This is the reading list for this class. This is what's suggested. Where are we at on all this? I haven't read the book. Maybe you have. Or maybe even some other peer review or peer support from other teachers who are also teaching those AP courses. And also, if there's the potential of some controversial material, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have a meeting with some of the parents of some of these kids that may be going to some of these AP courses, even if it's a quick call, even a telecall, or a Google Meets or something like that, so that if they have questions, they could ask them directly to the teacher, or and maybe it's appropriate to come up with a process that if there is an objection to certain material that they have, that that the parent can initiate that process and get it reviewed by the administration or by the school board, or it would probably need to start within the building first and then get escalated up to the school board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, District C, Amber Smith, you would go first on question 4. Do you need it repeated?
Yes, just
Okay,
make sure I cover all the points.
There has been controversy over what books are considered appropriate for school libraries. What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
So I'm very much an advocate that I don't like the banning of books. Books tell our history. Books are very important for our civilization. Now there are things that are inappropriate that don't need to be in our school systems in that sense of it's not educating our students. I know there was a bunch of controversy about some books earlier at the South level, or at South with it. But things can be taken out of context. You can read something I say here today could be taken out of context and something that I don't mean it to say. So one small passage from a book could be completely taken out of context and not get what the whole idea of the entire book is about. So for the fact of like the education for our students, I want to make sure that we are being informed and we are looking over the material that is being given to our students to look over. But in these AP classes and things, there's going to get into things that are going to bring discussions into the classrooms that we want our kids to be able to bring ideas and have engaged and respectful conversations with each other so that they can take this information and this learning out into the real world. The real world's not perfect, and our school system isn't perfect, and we're going to have to teach our kids how to be in those uncomfortable situations at some point so that they can better themselves in life overall. So I don't think banning books is something that's going to fix that. I think educating kids and teaching everyone that people can have different ideas will help solidify our students' education for the future.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so question 4 for Nicholas Anderson.
Yeah, could you repeat it real quick,
Sure.
please? Thank you.
There has been a controversy over what books are considered appropriate for the school libraries. What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
So it's very difficult to determine, for me personally, to determine what's right for every person in every situation. So I guess one thing would start with maybe learning what the process is of how are we determining what is appropriate for the children, and just seeing what the process is and seeing if there's something that we need to adjust or maybe take more look a little bit deeper into. Another thing would maybe be reaching out to the parents, maybe sending a form home, quick call, probably a form home, but just saying, hey, is there anything in particular that your children, we might want to watch exposing them to. I personally don't like the idea of banning any particular books per se in a certain context, because books have literally changed my life and they could change others as well. There's always something you can learn from any book, but you do need to be the right age to be able to learn that right lesson. And so it's tough to be able to determine that. I would say that there's a lot of options, whether they don't have to be only at school. There are many books available at the Decatur County libraries, and also they can be purchased through Amazon as well. And so it's really tough. I would encourage, I'm encouraging my son to read as much as possible, because reading can change our life. And so I think, just assessing the process, see what are we doing, does it need to be adjusted, and kind of go from there. But I don't particularly like the idea of banning books, but maybe restricting to those that don't need to be accessed.
Thank you. It's kind of a rough transition.
Yeah, I seen her processing me down. I was like, oh shoot.
Okay, so question 4, we will start with Allison, correct? Okay, and do you need it repeated?
Go ahead, sure.
Okay. There has been controversy over what books are considered appropriate for the school libraries. What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
So I think that's a really difficult question with controversy. We live in a world that has so much controversy all around us. It is definitely hard, and life is tough. And there are going to be lots of good things in life, but there's going to be lots of bad things. And so it's tricky to say you can't read this when it may teach us a lesson. And so I know, like Amber had mentioned, there's been some controversy about books. I think there's always controversy. We hear at public libraries for the last 25 years, I think I can remember, every now and then you'll hear someone say, well, this book is banned, we couldn't read this, I read this in high school, now it's considered controversy. I take it as a learning opportunity. The parents need to be involved with their children. And no matter what the age is, we can sit down and say, this is maybe something that our family doesn't believe, but here in the moment, we are reading this. It's an opportunity to sit down with your kids and discuss the right and the wrong, or discuss opportunities for change. I don't want to be one to say, nope, we're not going to do that book. I think there's an opportunity for learning with different things, and so I think we see it more in the high school levels as far as books that should be restricted, or people having opinions that they should be restricted. Now, I do know as far as AP classes, they do send home permission slips with signatures, and so that is important. The teacher is reaching out to the parents. As a parent, take ownership in the fact you're signing that. So when the child brings a book home that may be controversial, then you can sit down with them and have that opportunity. You sign the permission slip that says, yes, you knew. So I think there's an opportunity there.
Okay, thank you. And Dustin.
If you'll repeat the question, please.
Yes, sir. There has been controversy over what books are considered appropriate for the school libraries. What is your opinion on what is appropriate and should be available for our students?
I'm going to take a little bit of what Elizabeth and Dave said. There's someone in charge of picking those books, and there's someone above them at the state level or the college level for the AP courses that are determining what material is appropriate and not appropriate. But kind of what Dave said, maybe we need to have parent meetings for some of these AP classes that some people deem as too explicit or mature for their child. We live in a world where technology is key to success. Simple email, hey, your kid might be reading this, might be reading this, might be reading that. And as a parent, I would look into what they were being offered. I just think that there are ways to communicate more effectively, and I don't think it would be a school board member's I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't think it'd be the school board's position to pick what book was approved and not approved. It's coming from somewhere else.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yes, okay. I was confirming that we were on the same page. So moving on to Elizabeth with question
I started that question.
Oh, see?
You're good.
Just when I thought.
I was like, oh, wait, I don't know that we are on the same page there.
Okay. Question 5. We'll start with Amber Smith. What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications? Futuristically, could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in schools, also assisting in being fiscally responsible?
So I think this question is talking about combining North and South Decatur, if the way that I read that or understood what you were saying correctly is combining those schools to make it more financially stable for Decatur County in general. With the declining number of students that are coming, I think to say at the state that we are at now and how spread out this county is, I don't think it would be financially responsible for us to put money into building a brand new facility to incorporate these two schools together. This county is a very wide county. It's very farmland, so many kids travel to get to the schools that they are at now. And if we would build a new school, that necessarily wouldn't be central for every student to be able to get to. So I do not think that consolidating the two schools and making it one large school, I personally appreciate the smallness of our schools that we have now. My kids very much enjoy the smaller classrooms, and I feel like I graduated from a larger school with a much larger class than what the students graduate from here, and we didn't have much of that one-on-one and focus on the student as much as they do here. That I very much appreciate in our school system, that our kids are in the smaller classrooms and get to be able to have that to help benefit them for the future. So no, I do not think that combining the schools into one school would be a great option.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas Anderson, you are next with question 5. Would you like for me to repeat it?
Please.
I'm not even sure I understand.
I hope that's how I took it.
Like, right? Okay, I'm just clarifying that, they let me out of my cage. What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications futuristically? Could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in schools? Also assisting in being fiscally responsible.
All right. So fantastic question. This, the rural aspect, I think, it's one of the things that makes us great, in my opinion. I don't personally think it's better to create one place for the north and south kids to be. The class sizes. It's great to be able to have that community that many of the, some of the teachers grow up in the community, and for the kids to be able to have the small class size and know their teachers and know the people around them, I think it's just better for everybody involved. Now, do we miss out on some opportunities because of being small? Most definitely. There are some things that, again, it could be a budget thing that I think that should be examined just to see if, ways to utilize what we have to enhance, so that even though, it's smaller, can we do things that bring people in from other parts of the community, because our learning system is actually, in my opinion, very good. I think that we're better than some of the surrounding counties, and if we continue to show that we are doing a better job, maybe we can enhance the size of our school just enough where we can keep the funding where it needs to be, but at the same time keeping our individuality of each north and south school, because again, do you want your kid to have to travel for who knows how long just to get to school, then to get home? The travel on the kids, it's going to be tough for their learning and just overall development, in my opinion, among many other challenges that they could face. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth, question 5. Would you like for me to repeat it?
Please, this one's complex.
It is very complex. What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications? Futuristically, could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in school, also assisting in being fiscally responsible?
Okay, so as far as the number of rural children in our community, like I mentioned earlier, 20 years ago, a feasibility study, the schools weren't really projected to increase their enrollment. And so in that time, if you think over a 20-year period, what our schools are offering is phenomenal. North Decatur is an early college high school, and I know that South Decatur High School offers many of the same classes that are available and resources with maintaining a very high number of college credits that are available to seniors. The a lot of, 30 to 35% of a senior class can be expected to have their first year of college done, 30 college credits. So when you think of the size of our corporation and what we're offering our students, I think we are doing a great job. But from a financial standpoint, there's going to be a lot of work ahead to be sure that we can maintain those opportunities to our students, for our students, because there's not an increased number of rural kids. When you look back at that, our super abundant agricultural community, which I think is phenomenal. I grew up an ag kid. I studied ag at Purdue. So I'm a very high advocate for agriculture and that importance of our community. But it also means that there's not a lot of availability for people to move into our community to raise that number of students. So we have to be smart with our planning and what courses we're offering, with our pathways and the pathways that we have available to our students. Manufacturing, for instance, 700-ish or so, I don't know the exact number, but dollars is available per student that's involved with that manufacturing pathway. That's going to be then funds that are available to help pay the teacher that's responsible for conducting that pathway. So that's just one of many examples. So being strategic with how we are setting ourselves up will allow us to maintain that academic excellence.
Okay, thank you. David, question 5. Would you like me to repeat it?
I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything here.
What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications? Futuristically, could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in schools? Also, assisting in being fiscally responsible.
I've heard some of the arguments about if we were to ever consolidate and build another building. And on paper, from what I've heard, some of that stuff does make sense. You'd only be one set of air conditioners to maintain, only one, HVAC chillers, stuff like that. One big parking lot, network, computer infrastructure. On paper, it all sounds great. But if we were to consolidate, you would also only have one football team, one set of athletic teams that it may make it more difficult for some of the kids right now that get to participate to then participate. Right now we have a fun rivalry between the north end and the south end, and I wouldn't necessarily. It would take a lot of convincing for somebody like myself to ever be like, yeah, that's a good idea to consolidate, because it would be, depending on where it was consolidated and put, that could be a long drive and a long time on a bus coming from south of Alert to go somewhere, or to come from north of Lake Santee, and then you're going to spend a lot of time on a bus. And right now, the schools are located in pretty good locations, I think, that are fairly accessible to the north end and the south end. But it would also, I would be worried if we went to that big school model with a consolidated school, that you would lose your kid to teacher ratio. It wouldn't be as good. It would be a lot more students per teacher. And I think you lose a lot. And the kids would also gain some anonymity if they're just one of 1,800 in the school system. You know what I mean? As opposed to being in a smaller school, so they wouldn't necessarily maybe get the needs met. That comes with being an individual in that school system and having somebody who knows their story, knows their history and their needs and whatnot. Looks like I'm out of time. So.
Thanks, David. Okay, next we have Allison. She's like, look at me. Question 5, and it is complicated. Would you like it repeated?
Absolutely.
Okay. What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications? Futuristically, could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in schools? Also, assisting in being fiscally responsible.
So I think the declining rural children, part of that is the access now. If you would like your child to go to a different school due to them being able to go to a religious school, go to a different school later on down the road to participate in sports, you now have that option, right? So we do know people in Decatur County that are taking their kids elsewhere or within the county to different schools. So we are having that declining rate of of children with that aspect that are giving parents choices. And with that, I came from a large school corporation as a child, and so I struggled as a kid with my academics, and I did not get the opportunities like I know my kids will get being in a smaller school. The class ratios are about 20-ish, I'd say, in the classes, which is nice for the kids. The teacher knows about them. They have that really good relationship with them. If we consolidate, I don't think we'd see that as much. Over in other counties nearby, their student to teacher ratio is closer to 30. And so we all understand that kids have different needs, and so depending on what that looks like will be more difficult for the teacher. Now, as what it looks like on paper, I'm sure it looks better as far as if we consolidate the schools, North and South 1, absolutely, it looks better on paper. But I think in the long run, even though it looks better on paper, the ones that are going to suffer is our kids. And are we willing to take that risk? I'm not. I would rather have my child at a smaller school.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Dustin, question 5. What are your thoughts on declining or flattening of rural children? What are the long-term implications? Futuristically, could consolidation help in achieving excellent academics versus duplications in schools, also assisting in being fiscally responsible?
The first part of the question, the flattening of the numbers, I'm going to have to side with Allison on this one. I know families from the north side, the southern part of the county, and you see with this open enrollment situation, you see kids living in North Decatur district that go to Greensburg. You see kids that live in South Decatur going to North Decatur and vice versa, north going to south. So I really don't think the numbers have flattened. I just think that the open enrollment has changed the structure of the enrollment numbers. It's not the actual population numbers. As far as the consolidation idea, that was brought up when I was in high school. I wasn't a fan for it then, and I'm not a fan for it now. Consolidation, I think, was squashed in 2010 or 2012 as a public vote. And at that point, the school corporation decided to do what they did. They've added the auxiliary gyms. They've improved the science wings. They've improvements at both schools. I mean, there's a biomeds class at, I think that's South Decatur.
Yep.
And North has its own thing. If you would consolidate and find a central location, where is that central location? That central location's probably at the old Pop's Diner. Growing up in Millhausen, I rode the bus for an hour to and from school, so you're looking at an hour and a half, 3 hours a day there and back. It's unrealistic, and I think what our schools do is if South doesn't offer it, then we'll bus you there, and if North doesn't offer it, we'll bus you there. I think that's the motto you have to continue to follow to be successful. And small numbers, I loved it as a kid. I don't think I could have sat in a class with 300. I'm just small town feeling.
Thank you. Okay. We got you guys, right?
I started that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I was on the same. Whew. Okay. So the next question, we will start with Allison. How do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus other extracurricular?
Will you read that again?
Hold on, let me ask if this is the right word. That's supposed to be curricular, right? Do you want me to skip to this question?
No, you're just asking about the support balance between classwork, schoolwork, and sports.
So how do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus your extracurricular?
Okay. All right. I think those guidelines and recommendations are kind of already in place for those things. As far as academics come, my time hasn't started.
Oh, thank you. We were distracted by the question. Thank you for that. Okay, so sorry.
So I know that there are rules and regulations as far as students participating in extracurricular activities. Academics for me comes first. So, but that is not always the case with every family, right? Schools do have guidelines about what exactly your grades can be in order for you to be participating. And so I think those standards need to be held accountable. Have those slid in the past? I'm sure. Do I know what that looks like for individuals? No. But academics is important. Now, if we are identifying that kids in academics need extra help, are they getting the help that they need? That's an important thing to do. Now, when we're talking about sports or extracurricular activities, there are lots of those. And so some kids, that's their only thing is extracurricular. They may not be good at academics. And so how can we meet them where they're at, right? Supporting them and what is important to them, but also trying to help them educationally at the same time. I think that's an individual balance that has to be made for that particular child or individual. Now, as far as I think that question is a little bit difficult to really wrap your brain around, but hopefully I answered that correctly.
I think so. Yes, okay. Okay, so Dustin, how do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus other extracurricular?
If I'm understanding this correctly, it's so what other things other than sports or athletics does the county schools have to offer? And one of the things that I would like to look into, if elected to the school board, is like a broadcasting a media class at both North and South Junior Senior high schools. Just something. Nick might not be interested in playing a sport. He might not be interested in playing football, but he might want to work at WTRE when he graduates high school. But he wasn't given that opportunity in class. And that's kind of my interpretation of the question, what we have to offer and what we don't, and the balance between, do we have 10 sports and 3 extracurriculars, or is it balanced? I think it should be balanced. First should be academics. Of course, that's what the purpose of school is. But then home life isn't always the greatest. So, I mean, in my profession, the more that the schools have to offer, the better the chance of success is going to be in the future.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth, how do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus other extracurricular?
So I think that the extracurriculars and sports that we have that are offered in our school are, one, a great thing that makes the size of our schools unique. You know, I was president of the FFA, choir, marching band, drum major, band president, but then I also threw on the track and field team, manager for the football team, but yet maintained top 10 in my class, which I know is not every student, but having those opportunities available to me allowed me to manage my time accordingly, so then it helped me succeed in the classroom. I knew when I had to set aside time to get my classwork done if I wanted to go do these other things. And as Allison had mentioned already, I think there's already a structure in place as far as sports and or some extracurriculars that depending on grade level and what have you, those have to be maintained to a certain level in order to participate in some of those activities. And so I think that's our safeguard of ensuring that, one, as Dustin said, we're there first and foremost to receive an education. And so, but I understand that the classroom's not where every student succeeds. And having those opportunities available are what makes well-rounded students. Now, if the question's referring to a balance from sports to those other extracurriculars, I do think our schools have some other things that are available. Could we have some more? Probably. But I think that that's where we need to have valued educators, invested teachers in our building, because those teachers are then the sponsors of those other clubs and activities many times in the building. So if there's an idea that a student has that they want to go do, if they bring that to an administrator's attention, I do think that it is sought out to try to see if they can develop that, whether it be SAD that was developed in a building, I mean, what have you. I do think that those opportunities are important, and maintaining a balance of what's available.
Okay, thank you. David, how do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus other extracurricular?
So our sports teams are important, and so are our other extracurriculars, if you will, because I don't have the data in front of me, but I think it'd be a fair statement that if a kid's involved in extracurriculars, then academically they're probably doing okay or above average, because in order to stay engaged with sports, they have to meet a certain academic standard. But not all of our kids are athletes, and not all of them are ever going to be, for that matter. And there are other extracurriculars out there, such as archery. There's math bowl. There's a handful of other things that are available to our kids. But as far as how I would help support, if a student could find a sponsor or something like that, and they come to the board or to the administration, or need an advocate or some support from, if elected, the school board, say it's esports or something along those lines, and that's what interests them. That's what keeps them engaged in school. That's what makes them want to go every day, so that they can participate in this extracurricular. Then, by all means, I'm gonna do everything I can to support that. If it's choir, band, I was a band kid, and it was what we learned in band was, it was incredible. We worked as a team. We read music and marched and everything else, and it was a great program. And so yes, I continue to advocate for all of those programs, especially our arts, some of the academic extracurriculars such as Math Bowl, and that team. Archery has been a great addition to North Decatur. I believe South has a team as well. But yes, I'll continue to advocate for everything in addition to sports, because I think it keeps the students engaged and helps them out academically as well.
Thank you. Okay, Amber, you're next. How do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports or other extracurricular?
So I think I kind of touched on this a little bit in another question that I answered, that I have been very happy in the county with the fact that my son's not a huge sports guy. He has had the opportunity to do many things that don't necessarily involve sports. He's done archery, he's in band, he has done robotics. So I think that our school system is working to help those students that don't necessarily go on that sports track. I also have a daughter who is very sports involved and involved in everything that she can be involved in. She's a cheerleader, cheerleader, basketball, softball, volleyball player. So I get it from both aspects of, I have a kid that wants to do both things. So from a parent perspective, I can see that both my children who have very different interests have those opportunities in our school system. One thing that I see that lacks, Elizabeth kind of touched on it when she said, like, the school teachers and stuff are usually the ones that control some of those groups. And I see that's where we struggle, is sometimes we can't get parents or can't get people to, the kids have an idea, want to do this, but we don't have an adult that can be there for them. So making sure that the community knows that, there are kids that want to do these things, but we also need help from the community as volunteers to come and sit in those practices so that they're able to do that. I know our cheer team at South had trouble, the younger girls had trouble finding a coach there for a while, which they're good now, but that was a struggle that they thought maybe that wouldn't happen. So getting the community involved and letting parents know that, hey, you have the opportunity to be there too. But I do think our county is doing well in, focusing on both aspects of that.
Okay, thank you. Nick, how do you help support and provide balance for offerings for students when it comes to sports versus other extracurricular?
I do think that our schools, they do seem to have a great balance of, whether it be learning or sports based. I think we have a great group of activities available for our kids to learn and grow. I mean, not every child, we're not going to have the same aspects that I enjoy as others, and so I think that we do have a great array of things for the kids that excel in different areas for them to do so. It can be tough, obviously, being able to have everything for every single person, but I believe we do offer things that most kids can get behind in some way. I mean, the aspect of, I think we should definitely encourage our children to do other things that are extracurricular in general, just for the team aspect, the cooperation, the learning how to interact with others is so very important to build those skills that we need as individuals. And so again, kind of to echo what Dave said, so I know whenever I did sports in school or extracurricular activities in general, there was a standard that had to be met. For me to be able to do those, I had to keep the grades. So maybe those things are doing a great job of enhancing our kids' ability to try harder just so that they can do the things that they love. If there was one thing that I think we could improve on, I would love there to be some extra financial literacy for our kids. If we were able to find a way for our kids to have a better start in life because they understand financials a little bit better, they could probably prosper as adults. And so that's part of what I believe is best. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Question 7. We will start with we go back to the top with Elizabeth. I've already messed up the rotation.
That's fine.
It's okay. Okay.
I think you're on point.
You think I'm on point?
I think you're on point.
I like him. As well as we know, okay, let me start over. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure students' safety?
I know that school safety is obviously a huge topic. We have one SRO at the north end of the county, one at the south end of the county. Obviously, in my position as our juvenile prosecutor, I work with them on a regular basis, so I know that they're active and involved in the classroom settings.
The timer. Thank you.
No, I looked up to see how I was doing, and I was like, oh boy, it's not quite started yet. And so I think it's important. We also have a director of safety in some capacity. I know it's kind of been coupled together, but in Brian Talkington at central office. And so he's like director over our SROs, both Dalton Jones and Shane Lakins. And so entrusting those guys that they are staying up to date. There are school safety conferences. They just had one, I think, this past week and maybe the week prior to that. But there was one here recently where those people that we are trusting to keep our schools safe, I'm hoping, and would then, if selected on the school board, would want to follow through more, but to ensure that they are maintaining the highest level of school safety that we can. In today's day and age, it's we have to ensure that our kids want to come to school and are safe in that setting. That's going to be how they excel academically. If students are sitting in a classroom afraid of a certain reason or certain situation, they're obviously not going to be able to focus on whatever it is that they're supposed to be learning at that point in time. And so I know that the doors are locked. You have to buzz your way into the building. We do have security measures that are in place. Obviously, that is not my specialty. That's not an area that I'm going to pretend that I'm an expert on, but I think that we really need to look at those people in those positions to be sure that we have, and I'm not saying that we don't, but to ensure that the people we have in those positions are first and foremost top-notch to ensure the safety of our students, our teachers, everyone coming and going from the building. I think that's really where we put our focus.
Okay, thank you. David,
Repeat the question. If you
repeat
wanted
the
to.
question.
Yep.
Okay. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure student safety?
I don't know that there's a ton of changes that need to happen. I think some of the stuff we're doing right now is fantastic and great. Elizabeth touched on that. The doors are locked. You have to buzz yourself in. There's other pieces of technology that are also present with before you even get to come into the building. As far as the little name tags, and there's some back end stuff that happens. I think there's also some other potential for technology that could be leveraged to help maybe do some threat assessments and stuff like that, and monitoring maybe some of the social media that surrounds some of the chatter that happens within the schools, so that we could put ourselves or put our SRO staff and whatnot in a position to know, or maybe even have a little bit of be able to prepare themselves or have a little bit of insight into maybe what potential threats are out there. And I think the security even kind of goes beyond that building too, when it comes to some of our security, when it comes to data and whatnot, and our students, the data that we house for them. So I would think that I don't have a lot of changes, but enhancements, or maybe even advocating for additional funding for maybe it be either electronic locks, interlocks, different things like that. Maybe some additional technology for intelligence, or even just monitoring what's going on and what the threat situation may be for the schools. And also, if cameras are also so valuable in our schools, what additional investments, I don't know right off the top of my head, but it would have to be, once we got in there, advocate for the appropriate level of funding that they might need for some of that stuff. But I don't really have a ton of changes. Maybe enhancements is where I would go with that, and advocating for enhancements.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Amber, would you like the question repeated? Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure student safety?
So like everyone has touched on, I don't think there's a bunch of huge changes that we need to make for the security of our schools. Being there in the school, I have seen the cameras, the whole school, or at least at South I have. The school is covered. You can see every portion of it. So, and I know there is someone that is constantly kind of monitoring that. The SRO officers, I have met Shane before. I've seen him. He is in and out of the schools, so his presence is there. The children see him. So I think that is definitely, him being in the school, walking around, definitely is something that the kids benefit from, seeing that officer being there, just because they know the safety is there. As in things that we can change to implement, I'm obviously not a security officer, so I don't know exactly how all that works, but the buzzing in is definitely good. I know they background check everybody before they go on field trips or anything along those lines to protect the children in that sense. And everybody has to have a visible name tag if they're in the schools and not working. So all those things are definitely great safety implementations that I think our schools have worked on to make sure that our kids do feel safe. I've never had my children come home and say they feel uncomfortable in any situation. And so as a parent, that makes me feel good about what we have going already.
Okay, thank you. Nick?
Yeah, could you repeat?
Repeat the question. Okay. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure student safety?
Like others have said, I really don't know that I would necessarily just go out and change a bunch of things, but maybe just work on what can we do to enhance what we're already doing to make it just a little bit better. Whether that's looking into our SRO trainers or officers being at the top-notch training, just like they said, within reason that we can afford. And is there anybody in the community that would want to help reach out to be able to enhance their training if they have the skills to do so? Maybe looking into other school programs that maybe are considered to have great safety programs and see what are they doing, and is there something that we can do to learn and possibly implement if there's something that could be needed in that direction. Again, also just listening to the children and the parents and seeing, what are your most important concerns, and kind of compiling those and seeing, all right, maybe do we need to put a little bit more attention in a specific area, but without really being a safety specialist, I personally can't just go out and give you one great thing that we could really need to change. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Allison. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure the students' safety?
Now, going to each school, elementary or high school, I think we're all met with security measures as soon as we hit the door. And that, as parents, make us feel very safe. Schools are very much on lockdown all the time, with essentially one door open for anyone from the outside world to be able to get in. Now, I feel like they're safe. Our schools are providing lots of security measures for the building itself, which is great. The SRO is available. He's around. Kids know him. If there's situations that arise, I've heard he is right there to help if he's in the building. And if he's not in the building, he is within minutes of coming, which is great to have that. Growing up, we didn't have anything like that. It was the teachers on the students, not literally, but with any kind of situation. And so I feel like security-wise, things are good. There are different types of drills that the kids will go through. I think we've all heard of those. Now, there are things that happen around our communities, and our children's safety is the school's priority. And our schools make sure our kids are safe before they're going to be sending out any kind of message to the families. Now, social media is great, but also it is lacking, and anybody can get on there and say anything they want. Our schools are prioritizing our children over sending us a call, and for myself, I'm happy with that. I think as far as security, I think it's great, but with cyber security, I think there needs to be some beefing up of that. I can hardly use a computer. I use a computer every day to chart on my patients, but I know that those things are always changing. Kids are smart, so they'll figure different things out. So I think with cyber security, there needs to be some improvement.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dustin. As we all know, school security is of high priority. Schools are currently housed with SROs. What security measures would you change to ensure students' safety?
I think I would kind of piggyback off everybody else. I don't know if I would change much of anything. I mean, we have two SROs, one at South and one at North. SRO Lincoln's and SRO Jones do excellent jobs. If you go to a sporting event or a school function, the homecoming parade at North, SRO Jones was there. I mean, it's an after-hours event, but he's still there. He's involved in the community. He's at the sporting events, if you see it. So, I mean, what Decatur County School Corporation is doing for security, I think, is excellent. So I would kind of piggyback off what Dave and everyone else said and just enhance. Look at what we can improve. Maybe we need to upgrade the cameras. Maybe we need to change, maybe the automatic lock system is outdated and it could be upgraded. But as far as changing anything, I don't think you have to change anything. I think what we're doing is preventative at this point. I'm not a parent, but I still follow the schools on social media, and you get the alerts, and they're pretty quick. So keeping parents informed, I think, is excellent. I know that when I send my 5-year-old to kindergarten next year, I think the first day, I think I'm probably going to sit in my office and kind of sweat all day, being a little nervous that he's all right. But knowing what Decatur County has to offer, his safety is not a concern for me. It's just me being a dad.
Thank you. Okay. That was everyone on that question, correct? Last question, and then we'll do the wrap-ups. Okay, so starting this question will be Nick. Or, no, I'm so sorry, Amber.
Okay.
I just, last question, I just do what I want. What changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
Well, I think as we've kind of all said, none of us have been on the school board before, so we don't necessarily, I can see what the budget is by looking at it on the computer that you can see, but that's just numbers to me right now. I don't know exactly how all those funds are allocated and how it looks to be divided across the whole board. So, if I am elected to the school board, one of the first things that I would like to do is be able to sit down with somebody that is familiar with that, learn the ins and outs of it, learn what we need to know about it, and then see from there if I can take my perspective as me as a person and be able to input my input to see if we can balance it better. So as the current budget is, I don't have a great answer for how I could change it, but hopefully if I'm elected, then I will have better input and to be able to enhance it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nick.
Could you
Right. Sure, absolutely. What changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
Thank you. So I believe at the last meeting they actually, or the meeting before, they kind of established the current budget. I don't know what I could do today to be able to do that, but I would definitely be interested in looking into what is it that how are we allocating our funds, and isn't the most efficient to be able to help our kids and teachers have the best situation. Again, teacher pay was brought up earlier. What are we allocating that for that? That's something we really need to look into, and many other things. There's so for me personally, like others, I would have to get help and learn from the existing members and see what the perspective has been, and maybe see what my input could do to be able to help that. And so I love numbers. I love crunching numbers. Budgeting is something that I actually am passionate about. Just as a person, it's kind of weird, but I love it. And so I can't wait for the opportunity, if elected, to dig in and just make sure that we're utilizing it and maximizing every dollar in the right way for our children and teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Allison, what changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
Financials for most places like the school corporation, I know that they're budgeted and projected for the next year already. So if I would get into the school board, changes would probably that I would be interested in making maybe a little while down the road, because the previous year has probably already put forth which way the funds are going to go. Now, I've looked briefly at the financials for the school board. Now, there are different numbers that have been set out for salaries, different things for academics, and so those numbers will need to be shifted at some point. Now, we already touched on salaries for teachers. I think that's huge. I would love to see some budgeting towards mental health for children in our school system, as well as staff. Lots of people are struggling in different ways, and we see that a lot in our school system. I would love to see a portion of our dollars go towards supporting that. Now, what that looks like as far as implementing it, I'm not really sure. And so with being on the school board potentially, my passion is to kind of listen to the voters and listen to families and see what are things that are important to you. How do you think we should modify our budget? But also kind of being that middle person to understand what our budget looks like and where the funds need to be shifted, and finding that happy medium is where I think we need to be.
Okay, thank you. Dustin, what changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
As far as the current budget, the budget for 25, I think, has already been approved. So, like last month or the month before, but like I know I go into this with like goals like teacher retention, staff retention, stuff like that, and with those things, it's like any typical government agency budget. You've got staff, and it's all based on certain things. Like you get paid so much per student, and then it's just all over the place in regards to the budget. So realistically, if some of these things I'd like to implement in the school, like increasing dual credit, increasing vocational. I said something earlier about daycare options. I'd like to explore options for driver's education back at the school, broadcasting, something like that. But without cutting anything or adding anything to the budget, you got to find resources that are available within your community to make these things possible. I mean, you don't want to cut 10 teachers in order to bring driver's ed back. I mean, you got to find valuable resources. So maybe you partner with an insurance company around here that would be willing to sponsor something like that. So in regards to the budget, I don't think you can really do anything the first year. I mean, you can approve or deny what not to do. Like,
Right. Okay. Thank you. Elizabeth, what changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
So again, as many people have already said, as far as specific changes for this first year, a lot for the school board and for next year is already going to be decided as far as how the budget's allocated, where those funds come from. I do think it's important to mention that when we're talking about teacher salary pay versus operating expenses, other things, those are two separate funds. You know, our teachers are paid out of the general fund, and part of that equation is student enrollment and student numbers, and that's going to be evaluated twice a year by your state in order for some of those state funds to come down. And again, that's where your teacher funding comes out of. Operational is a separate budget. And so really taking a look at where things are currently allocated, where our goals are as a district. As a school board, that is key, that we have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Where are we trying to go with providing an education to our students, building maintenance, opportunities available, bus routes? I know that there's a change with the school corporation consolidating some bus routes instead of those being individual bids. You know, there's a lot that goes into a budget, and I'm not going to pretend to know even the top part of it yet because I've not had an opportunity to be a part of that process. So the first couple years on a school board, I think, is a complete learning opportunity for anyone that's new on a board. We need to sit, be sponges to figure out what it is that we're operating currently, how are things done, and then that's where your changes can be made. So it's really hard to sit here right now and say, oh, I would make this specific change to a budget. I don't know that answer. I don't know specifically how things are allocated, but I do think it's important for us to take a look at that and restructure some of what we're doing. I do think that we need to restructure some things.
Okay, thank you. David, what changes would you make to the current budget and how funds are allocated?
See, as everybody has said, the current budget is set. So I think going forward, if elected, ultimately I would be one of, 7 on the board. So I guess, what I would, make my priorities or whatever the voters say the priorities should be as far as that goes, outside of the stuff that, we have to, the fiscal decisions we have to make as far as making sure that any debt is paid down so that we're not wasting money on interest that could otherwise be going to salaries or building preservation or maintenance, making sure that our buildings are preserved in such a way and maintained in such a way that they're not going to be costing us exorbitant amounts of money due to lack of repair or preventative maintenance. I do know that the corporation was looking at replacing some buses here coming up, and that's probably a good idea because some of those older vehicles are less safe, and they also eat up maintenance dollars due to their age and mileage and whatnot. So ultimately, it'd be up to the voters to let me know where the priorities need to be at, and it'd also be once I got in there, or if elected, to pay attention for the first few years, as Elizabeth said, and figure out what needs need to be met fiscally to take care of those items, and go from there. But really, our budget, it's one of the things that directly affects our tax rates too. So we have to be smart. You can't just fund one thing without taking away from something else. So you really have to balance those needs with those wants and make sure that the needs are met with the dollars that are available.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you all very much for answering our questions with everything. So we're going to do a 3-minute wrap-up at this point. So we'll start with Elizabeth and work back. So, Elizabeth, you're running in District B.
Yes.
You have 3 minutes to just kind of give us a general wrap-up of everything.
All right, thank you, and thank you everyone for your time this evening. If you know me, you know that everything I'm involved in, I truly give my all. There's not anything I'm involved in that I really try to prioritize necessarily one or the other. Before I take on a task, I want to be sure, or before I even throw my name in for something, I want to be sure that I am able to fully meet the needs of that role or position of whatever that may be. So I think it's important for people to know that about me. But this is a critical time in education. You know, with all of the diploma changes, which we've not really touched on at all this evening, there are major changes coming. There's going to be a vote in December that is going to structure education for all of our students. And those are key policy changes that, from my educational background and all of my experiences, I really think that I could be a valuable resource on the school board of being sure that those statutes, those changes that are coming down from IDEO, from the Indiana Department of Education, that we are meeting all of those needs and desires as a school corporation. I think that it's vital that we preserve the opportunities that we have available to our students. I know I've touched base on this a little bit this evening, but I really think one of the unique things that we have to offer as a school corporation, whether that be North Decatur or South Decatur, are the opportunities we have available to our students. If you look at our high school student resumes of the opportunities and the activities that they have been involved in, it's unreal. We are creating an environment that a variety of students can excel, whether that be a manufacturing standpoint. You know, the 3 E's, education, employment, enlistment. We are really trying to structure our setting to where we are appealing and meeting the needs of every single student, despite their backgrounds, and ensuring that we are helping them reach their goals, whatever that is that's set. And so those are things that I think is vital that we preserve, and it's very high on my list of things that I want to be sure, if elected to the school board, I'm helping be sure that we are creating and supporting all of those things that are possible. Real quick, again, you know, I'm not only a mother, I have a husband that's in education. I'm vested personally, but I'm invested from a community standpoint in the aspect I'm from here. I'm a North Decatur graduate. I truly want what's best for our students and being sure that we are giving them every possibility that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for having us here tonight.
This is Allison speaking. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were going to say your name, so I didn't say it.
All right, so this is Allison Ortman. Sorry, I guess I started early. I wanted to thank you for having me tonight. It's been a great opportunity to see other candidates and listen and kind of hopefully educate our voters tonight. Now, Decatur County has been my home for just about 18 years. It's where I'm growing my family. It's where my heart is. As a mother, I think it's important to be very vested in your kids, and I am there. I'm happy with our school systems, and I want to continue to grow our school systems. Now, Decatur County is a special place. I think we're still able to kind of hold on to those core values that lots of larger places don't. We see a lot of Main Street media pulling our families in different ways. And so Decatur County, we're still able to hold fast to those values that we have. And I think we see that on a day-to-day basis. I think it's important that we protect our children's education and be able to have some kind of ownership in what that looks like. And so for the voters, I am someone that is approachable. I have lots of education and lots of public service. And so I always want to help people. I think it's important to, when making decisions, if I were on the school board, to look at both sides. I think it's very easy to say, yep, let's do it this way. When, as a school board member, it's your purpose to look at multiple ways or how things are being done, looking at both sides, making a very good, educated decision, not a rash decision, because this is our children's future. And I think that with the programs that we have, growing our FFA programs, I think, is something that's going to be important. Like Elizabeth said, down the pipeline, our children's education, it is changing. The diplomas are going to be changing. I'm happy with my oldest daughter. She's going to come out hopefully with 30 credits. That's incredible. So Decatur County is definitely or that's not what I'm looking for. It's definitely a good place to grow your children, and our kids have a lot of access to great opportunities, and so I want to be able to support that and to help assist you with that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Amber, who is in District C.
Yes. I'm Amber Smith, running for District C. I want to thank you for having us and doing all the hard work of getting us all here. I know it wasn't quite an easy task, especially for me to get here today, so I appreciate that. My husband and I, neither one of us graduated from South. My husband did attend school here when he was younger, and he has family that was here, but when we were married and deciding to where to build our home, we decided on Decatur County. So it wasn't just, oh, you're here. So we made the choice to come here, enroll our students here, or enroll our children here, and for our family to grow here. So I think that was a very hard decision to make, but I think it was the best decision that we could have had. I'm very happy with Decatur County, and I want to continue to see it to flourish. So when my kids have the opportunity to maybe run for school board when they're older, or work in law enforcement or wherever they put themselves at, that they're proud to be part of Decatur County, and that I help set foot that for them. My husband and I are, in the community a lot, doing community activities. We own a catering business, and so you can see us sometimes out in the community. We've done things for around supplying food for those that need it, and such. So I just want everyone to know that I am here, and I want to make informed decisions and be that person on the school board that is able to look at it from the whole perspective, rather than just have one set focus in mind. I'm very much a person that looks at every situation I look at in all different ways to make sure that I'm making the best decision that I can. It drives my husband crazy sometimes. But when I'm researching things, I'm very much a researcher. So I just want everyone to have informed decisions, for our children to have the best education that they can, and hopefully I can provide that for Decatur County.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Nick Anderson, who is also running in District C.
Hello, again, I'm Nick Anderson. Thank you so much for WTRE, again, hosting this amazing event. The listeners tuning in, putting in your time because you care so much, and so I have to thank you for all that. So as a lifelong member of the Decatur County, I have numerous friends, family, and loved ones that they mean a lot to me, and many of them have children, and I know a lot of them, and I care about their future just like you all care about their future. And so I want to be able to do my part again to make sure that's the best that it could possibly be. Decatur County has been great for me. I mean, we chose to build our family and foundation right here because that's where we've always been. And so, I'm a pretty good communicator. And so what I would ask you to do is, I'm a good listener. Please reach out if you choose to elect me. Help guide me in where your concerns are. If you've got issues, let them be heard. I can't guarantee we'll always do the best, but we'll do our best to make it as best as possible. And so, if you want good, strong, common sense leadership and decision making, I'm your guy. I've always been a hard worker, and so I'm ready to work and serve the community the best that I can. So I would finish with this. Whenever you're going out to vote on the polls for whether it be early, you're voting early or you're voting on November 5th, when you vote for school board for District C, I hope you think of me. Thank you, and vote Nick Anderson for school board District C. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, Dustin Barkdahl is representing District D.
First off, thank you for this event tonight. It's been interesting, fun seeing everyone else's insights on what they would like to do on school board. My name is Dustin Barkdahl. I'm running for District D, which consists of Fugate, Salt Creek, and Marion Townships for the Decatur County School Board. I look forward to the possibility of serving Decatur County in that possibility. I'm a lifelong resident of Decatur County. I'm a graduate of South Decatur. I've coached sports at both North and South. I have connections at both North and South Decatur. I understand that as a school board member, it's not your typical school board. You're not worried about one school. You got to worry about two separate schools, and having the connections at both sides, you've got to remain 50-50. But again, you got to understand that what North Decatur needs is not also what South Decatur needs, and vice versa. Based on the students they have, each school needs different things. I understand that being on this board is not just about going to meetings. It takes a lot of hard work, time, and energy to serve on the board. I didn't obtain my bachelor's degree traditionally. I went to Indiana State for 3 semesters, left, took a job at the sheriff's department, and put it off for 13 years before going back. And I understand what hard work it takes to continue that education while starting a family, getting married, working full-time, coaching. It took a lot of hard work, discipline, and a lot of sleepless nights to further my other education. But I understand the importance of education, and that's why, if elected, I intend to do my best to continue bringing the best options for the Decatur County school students. Thank you, and vote Barkdahl for District D.
Thank you.
You could have taken another minute or so if you wanted.
No, I wanted you to speed up the process, Henderson.
Okay, David.
All right, I'm Dave Henderson, and I'm not a very good public speaker, and I'm not very polished. But I would encourage you to vote for myself because I have I've been in the community for a very long time. I grew up as a farm boy in western Decatur County. For those of you who don't know me, my grandpa is Jack Wilson. Lived there just north of Milford. Got my fair share of sunburn and tinnitus on a Super M back in the day. Was on the sheriff's department here for 10 years. I did leave and I went to work for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security for 6 years in the IT section, and the first chance I got to come back home and do IT work, I was back. My daughter goes to North Decatur, and we couldn't be more thrilled with North Decatur. It's been a great school. Want to continue to see it be great, along with the South End. I hear good things about the South End as well. And if elected, I'll just continue to advocate for those kids that are on a pathway to college, as well as those kids who are on a pathway to a trade. They're just as important as well. Some of those, there are kids that may not do as well academically, but I'll continue to advocate for them, that we find a way to make them successful no matter what they want to do. As well as our arts and our extracurriculars that are also so important outside of sports and sports as well. I'm Dave Henderson. I hope you'll consider voting for me on November the 5th.
And you're in District B.
Yeah, District B.
Yes, thank you.
Adams, Clay, Clinton Townships.
Okay, thank you. Thank all of you for coming this evening. We really appreciate it. This has been your school board forum for 2024. We're done. We're good. Wrapping up for the evening.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to everyone who's listening. I have okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.